wasn't even late. 10 o'clock or something. There were people around. Masses of them. I went into a shop to get some cigarette papers, and when I came out, I saw this girl, she punched Danny in the chest. And I said, "Hey." And when she looked around, her eyes were black. No colour in them. I thought, she's on something. And as I was thinking this, she walked. Didn't run. Just strutted off. I saw Danny crumple like all his bones had melted. He didn't make a sound. It wasn't dramatic, not like a film. I thought he was joking, but at the same time, I knew he wasn't, because there was something about the way he folded up. Line.
People walked past him.
People walked past him. One guy even stepped over him. I went to him and I knelt down. And I noticed there was blood on his shirt. A tiny, tiny neck. But as I held him, it spread like a big red chrysanthemum. His face went from normal to the color of paper. Just like that. Line.
I saw the life drain out of him.
I saw the life drain out of him. And as his head was in my hands and I was shouting, "Fucking hell, somebody do something!" People were still going into bars, dodging around police cars, taking a quick glance as they walked past. People who were alive, like he'd been just a minute ago. I thought, this isn't happening. I thought, how am I going to tell Mum? If only I hadn't taken him into town. If I hadn't gone in to the shop to get some cigarette papers. He'd still be alive. Danny was my brother. And now every single thing is totally fucked. Forever.
Well done, well done. Comments? Alicia?
I really like you were like balling your fists up, like you were really angry. And like you looked like you were about to cry at the end. Like really good.
Yeah, and I think there's that, he's angry at himself. You know, he's angry at people walking by, he's angry at it happening, he's angry at the girl, he's angry at himself. You know, why did I, you know, and none of us know what's going to happen. You would never, why would you think that your brother's going to get stabbed? Just because you've gone into a shop, you know, that's not what you expect, is it? Any other comments on the FVS?
I like that he wasn't sitting down and you kind of moved around a little bit.
Danielle?
I like the pauses and stuff. I know people said it before, but like I think it like helped it, you know, because he's like remembering what happened, sort of.
Yeah, recalling it, and like nobody, although it's a monologue, it's a naturalistic one, so nobody can remember things like a speech. You kind of go, and then I think it was that she walked past it, you know, so you're like remembering it in that natural way, aren't you then?
I like how you were gesturing towards things when you say them.
Yeah, good, a bit of mapping going on. Anything to move forward with? So there was some real, like, clear emotional work going on. I think, you know, like I've sort of been saying that, just find the the moments where that might escalate a bit more, so that there's a little bit more light and dark in it. I know it's a long piece and it's emotionally demanding, but for instance, the end, you know, and I was like, everything's totally screwed forever, you know. It's like, it's that thing of like, just allow those moments to be like, you know, and people, and for instance, the moment where, you know, people walked past, one person even stepped over him, you know, and it's like, I wanted to cry out, somebody do something. You can allow those moments to happen, like in the moment, you know, like I was shouting, so allow the shout to happen, so that you've got those kinds of like, and I just couldn't believe it, and perhaps almost like there are moments where 100% what you were doing is right, and that you've got that sense of disbelief and recalling it in that what the hell type of manner. But there are also those moments where, you know, allow yourself to show that frustration and the hurt and the upset and the anger too, to escalate it a little bit. Mapping wise, there were moments of the mapping, but 100% commit to that. So in your mind, decide where Danny's going to be. In your mind, decide where the punch happens. And you know when you say like, and she walked off, she didn't run off or something. She just strolled. Try to map that through. She just strolled. Didn't run, you know, so it's like, so we see her in our mind's eye. You take us on that journey then, by focusing that through, and almost like, as you've watched her go, then you can switch back to where Danny is, because it's just like, after you've looked at her, what the hell is she playing out, how weird, you look back at Danny and realise that he's crumpled to the floor. Maybe even allow yourself, if you were going to send it as a self-tape, you would have to be much more stationary. But if you were doing it in person, my feeling is that you would then go to the floor to Danny. And I just held him in my arms, you know, and then you kind of like, so that moment where you're holding him and you see the blood, and then it's like, help! You know, that looking up in desperation then, and then, so you've got that focus back at your brother, okay? So just sort of allow yourself, I think, a little bit more room to have those, it's like up, down type of pistons going. Somebody used that analogy the other day, didn't they, about the pistons in a car, wasn't it? No? Where was I doing that? I heard somebody say it. Okay, great, really, really good work, lovely, well done.